The Israelites now must suffer for 40 years in the wilderness for committing a sin against God. During this time, a group of Levites decide to challenge Moses and Aaron. What is this challenge they offer them? And what will the outcome be? Let's find out. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Telly Talks Bob. In my last video, we discussed what happened to the Israelites when they committed a great sin against the Lord. With his anger burning hot, he's decided that the Israelites now must suffer for 40 years in the wilderness until they die. After they die, their children will inherit the promised land. He tells them that they will not enter the promised land themselves, but it will be their children instead. So what we're going to pick up on today is we're going to have an altercation. Instead of it being really the Israelites, it's a group of Levites that are confronting Moses and Aaron about the title they hold. And we're also going to get in some issues too, dealing with roles of the priesthood and things that they must do. So I'm going to pick up here. We're going to start on chapter 15, and I'm just going to do like a brief summary of this. So this just kind of goes into more detail about offerings once they enter the land of Canaan, what they are to offer, and things of that nature. It just goes in there and talks about, all the things that you offer for like Thanksgiving and, for good things. And then it starts talking about offering unintentional sins. If you are, accidentally do something unintentionally and don't realize it, you're still guilty. So you still would have to, give a sacrifice in repentance of that. Then it also throws in a little situation where someone breaks the Sabbath. There's a man who's out gathering wood, and that's considered working on the Sabbath in that time. So what happens to the man is he's restrained. They bring the man to Moses. Moses then goes to the Lord, and the Lord says, this man has broken my Sabbath law. He must be, put to death, pay the penalty. And that's what happens. So with this being said, with that judgment call, there's no indication that there was a possible way for purification of this. There's many offerings and sacrifices in order to purify people. But there's no indication that this was able to be done as like an unintentional sin, meaning that it's possible that this was intentional, that the man went out intentionally and did this. To close out the whole chapter here, it's going to talk about, it's called Asitith. My Hebrew is terrible. And that just basically translates into tassel. So what they would have is a tassel that they would use as a physical reminder of God's commandments. And that's just what they would carry around, and would be it would be the corner of their garments is where they would wear this. So that's it for that. Now I'm going to read chapter 16 and 17 because they all kind of tie in together. And then I will do a brief summary on chapter 18 and close this out. So 16 is going to be dealing with what I was talking about, how a group of Levites have now come to challenge Moses and Aaron. So let's jump right into it and see what's going on. Korah, son of Ishar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and certain Reubenites, Dathan and Abiram, sons of Elib, and On, son of Peleth, became insolent, and rose up against Moses. With them were 250 Israelite men, well-known community leaders who had been appointed members of the council. They came as a group to oppose Moses and Aaron and said to them, "You have gone too far. The whole community is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is with them. Why then do you set yourselves above the Lord's assembly?" When Moses heard this, he fell face down. Then he said to Korah and all his followers, "In the morning the Lord will show you who belongs to him and who is holy, and he will have that person come near him. The man he chooses he will cause to come near him. You, Korah, and all your followers are to do this. Take censers, and tomorrow put burning coals and incense in them before the Lord. The man the Lord chooses will be the one who is holy. You Levites have gone too far. So here we have Korah, who's a Levite. The Levites are not part of the priesthood, but they have been selected to be in charge of the tabernacle. They are the ones who will break down, rebuild, take apart. They have a very big part. For whenever they're moving through the wilderness, whenever God leaves, they break down everything and they are to carry it. They are to be, holy and pure, just like the priesthood. The priesthood, they're the ones that are able to do the sacrifices and everything like that. And of course, Moses is in a league all his own. And that's a completely different topic. So what's happening here is they feel like Moses and Aaron are trying to become unruly leaders in this situation. So they're saying that they are trying to be more than the rest of everybody else. Like they're special. And this group of people are not having it. And Moses is saying, okay, well, we'll do this and gather up your men, put in the censer. Censer is like a little thing that would burn incense in, and then we'll see who God chooses in the morning. All of you must do this. So let's pick up on verse 8, and see what's going to happen. Moses also said to Korah, "Now listen, you Levites, isn't it enough for you that God of Israel has separated you from the rest of the Israelite community and brought you near himself to do the work of the Lord's tabernacle and to stand before the community and minister to them? He has brought you and all your fellow Levites near himself, but now you are trying to get the priesthood too? It is against the Lord that you have and all your followers have banded together. Who is Aaron that you should grumble against him?" Then Moses summoned Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, but they said, "We will not come. Isn't it enough that you have brought us up out of a land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness? And now you also want to lord it over us? Moreover, you haven't brought us into the land flowing with milk and honey, or given us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Do you want to treat these men like slaves? No, we will not come." Then Moses became very angry and said to the Lord, "Do not accept their offering. I have not taken so much as a donkey from them, nor have I wronged any of them." So, like I was saying before, these men are saying that Moses and Aaron are keeping them from getting what they feel like is theirs. When in actuality, my last video, talking about how the Israelites, not all of them, but majority, because of the 12 spies, they were afraid to go into the promised land. But now they're trying to say that Moses and Aaron are the ones not allowing them to get their inheritance and things like that. But now Moses is angry and he's like, okay, well, the Lord will take care of it. So let's pick up back on verse 16. Moses said to Korah, "You and all your followers are to appear before the Lord tomorrow, you and they and Aaron. Each man is to take his censer and put incense in it, 250 censers in all, and present it before the Lord. You and Aaron are to present your censers also." So each of them took his censer, put burning coals and incense in it, and stood with Moses and Aaron at the entrance of the tent of meeting. When Korah had gathered all his followers in opposition to them at the entrance to the tent of meeting, the glory of the Lord appeared to the entire assembly. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Separate yourself from this assembly so I can put an end to them at once." But Moses and Aaron fell face down and cried, "O God, the God who gives breath to all living things, will you be angry with the entire assembly when only one man sins?" Then the Lord said to Moses, "Say to the assembly, move away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." Moses got up and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. He warned the assembly, "Move back from the tents of these wicked men. Do not touch anything belonging to them, or you will be swept away because of all their sins." So they moved away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Dathan and Abiram had come out and were standing with their wives, children, and little ones at the entrance to their tents. Then Moses said, "This is how you will know that the Lord has sent me to do all things, and that it was not my idea. If these men die a natural death and suffer the fate of all mankind, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord brings about some totally new, and the earth opens its mouth and swallows them with everything that belongs to them, and they go down alive into the realm of the dead, then you will know that these men have treated the Lord with contempt." So now everybody's gathered, and he's giving them warning. He's saying, hey, get away from these people. Get away from these men, or you're going to suffer the same fate that they are. So gives them a fair chance to get away. And, it's saying like everybody, their whole entire family, because of these men, they're going to be gone. And Moses is like, if this happens, then the Lord is with them. But if this happens, the Lord has sent me. And then, right here on verse 31, as soon as he finished saying all this, the ground under them split apart, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households, and all those associated with Korah, together with their possessions. They went down alive into the realm of the dead, with everything they owned. The earth closed over them, and they perished and were gone from the community. At their cries, all the Israelites around them fled, shouting, the earth is going to swallow us too. And fire came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who were offering the incense. The Lord said to Moses, tell Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, to remove the censers from the charred remains and scatter the coals some distance away, for the censers are holy. The censers of the men who sinned at the cost of their lives, hammer the censers into sheets to overlay the altar, for they were presented before the Lord and have become holy. Let them be a sign to the Israelites. So Eleazar the priest collected the bronze censers brought by those who had been burned to death, and he had them hammered out to overlay the altar, as the Lord directed him through Moses. This was to remind the Israelites that no one except a descendant of Aaron should come to burn incense before the Lord. He would become like Korah and his followers. The next day, the whole Israelite community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. You have killed the Lord's people, they said. But when the assembly gathered in opposition to Moses and Aaron and turned toward the tent of meeting, suddenly the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. Then Moses and Aaron went to the front of the tent of meeting, and the Lord said to Moses, get away from this assembly so I can put an end to them at once. And they fell down. So here we go again. They're blaming. Now more people are blaming Moses and Aaron for what's going on. And the Lord is getting even more upset, more angry. And what we're going to talk about here, the next few verses, I believe. Okay, so what's going to happen is Moses is going to act, and he's going to try to, put, a stop to the burning of the Lord's anger, to try to pacify it, I guess would be the best way to put it. So Moses, even with all the people going against him, he's still interceding between them, because that's what Moses was for. Moses was to intercede between the Lord and the people. So he's going to intercede on their behalf to try to save them. Then Moses said to Aaron, take your censer and put incense in it, along with burning coals from the altar, and hurry to the assembly to make atonement for them. Wrath has come out of the Lord, and the plague has started. So Aaron did as Moses said, and ran into the midst of the assembly. The plague had already started among the people. But Aaron offered the incense and made atonement for them. He stood between the living and the dead, and the plague stopped. But 14,700 people died from the plague, in addition to those who had died because of Korah. Then Aaron returned to Moses at the entrance of the tent of meeting, for the plague had stopped. If Aaron hadn't listened to Moses and did what he said, there would have been a lot more dead. So, with the incense burning in the censer, they atoned for the sins of the people, and that stopped the Lord's anger from burning against them. It stopped the plague. So, that's what all happened there. The people were turning against Moses and Aaron. Aaron was appointed leader of the priesthood, do all the sacrifices and offerings. And then Moses, like I said, is in a league of his own. He's the intercessor, I guess would be the proper way to say that, between the Lord and the people. So, because of all this, the plague has stopped, and there's, people have died. It doesn't say really anything about what happens to the bodies or anything like that. So we're going to pick up here, and we're going to start chapter 17. And chapter 17 is going to go through to remind the people of who the priesthood is. So let's start. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and get 12 staffs from them, one from the leader of each of the ancestral tribes. Write the name of each man on his staff. On the staff of Levi, write Aaron's name. For there must be one staff for the head of each ancestral tribe. Place them in the tent of meeting in front of the ark of the covenant law, where I meet with you. The staff belongs to the man I choose will sprout, and I will rid myself of this constant grumbling against you by the Israelites." So Moses spoke to the Israelites, and their leaders gave them 12 staffs, one for the leader of each of their ancestral tribes, and Aaron's staff was among them. Moses placed the staffs before the Lord in the tent of the covenant law. The next day, Moses entered the tent and saw that Aaron's staff, which represented the tribe of Levi, had not only sprouted, but had budded, blossomed, and produced almonds. Then Moses brought out all the staffs from the Lord's presence to all the Israelites. They looked at them, and each of the leaders took his own staff. So, everybody's staff was there, each one from 12 tribes, and Aaron's staff, because he's, the leader of the priesthood, he's been selected by the Lord, which is what was going on in this previous chapter, is that they were trying to say that Moses and Aaron aren't special. Like, the Lord has selected them, but they're trying to say that we're all selected by the Lord, that we're all supposed to be equal, which in this situation, they were not. So, what happens is, to show them that the Lord has indeed selected Aaron for this work that he is set aside from the rest of them, his staff blossoms and also produces almonds. Now, that is actually a sign of life, like new beginning. So, it was kind of like a ray of light in the midst of all this death that just occurred. So it was like a good sign. Knock out these last couple verses. The Lord said to Moses, "Put back Aaron's staff in front of the ark of the covenant to be kept as a sign to the rebellious. This will put an end to their grumbling against me, so that they will not die." Moses did just as the Lord commanded him. The Israelites said to Moses, "We will die. We are lost. We are all lost. Anyone who even comes near the tabernacle of the Lord will die. Are we all going to die?" So, they put the staff there as a reminder of who's in charge of the priesthood and what will happen if they come near it again. That's where all the death and stuff happened. These people were up there offering incense, burning incense, when they were not authorized to do it. That's why they were put to death. Just like Aaron's two sons before, they were part of the priesthood, but they offered unauthorized fire, and thus the Lord came out and fire consumed them. So this was very serious back then, that they followed these regulations and all these laws. Now, like I said, I didn't sit out and read everything, all the laws. I summarized a lot of stuff. Go back and read it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. I'm just a guy on here talking. Go and read it for yourself. Now everybody's afraid that, if they get near and around the tabernacle, that they're just going to die because of all this other stuff. So that closes out that chapter. Now, chapter 18, I'm just going to do a quick summary on it and then close this out. 18 just deals with, it's like reinstating the seriousness of Aaron's role in the priesthood. That if the priesthood should fall, that it's Aaron and his descendants, they're responsible. And it talks about what they're allowed to eat when they during the sacrifices and offerings. Some of the stuff was, holier than some other stuff, and it just goes into details on what portions they were allowed to eat and which ones, were to be burnt up in the offering process. Then it also just kind of talks about the Levites and how people would tithe, and they were to give a tenth of all agricultural goods produced and livestock. A tenth of that was to go to compensate the Levites. And that just kind of where that falls off and ends. Well, that's where I'm going to close this out. And let's see. Still got a few more chapters. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think the next couple chapters I'm definitely going to read. Yep. Anyway, that'll be for the next time. Anyway, that's it for now. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. And as always, God bless.